You guys have heard the news by now. Knicks and Hoops legend Carmelo Anthony is headed to the Hall of Fame. So let's take a look back at his 8 seasons with the Knicks and, of course, his 19-year NBA career with our New York Post sports columnist, Mike Vaccaro. Mike, thanks for hopping on with us. Let's get straight into this. We're talking about a 10-time NBA All-Star, 6-time All-NBA selection. You've covered the Knicks for a long time. You got a chance to see Melo's game and greatness. From a media standpoint, what was it like watching him play and, of course, covering him as well?
Well, especially when you consider what a dark period it was in Knicks history for the 10 years before he got there and for most of the 10 years after he got there. It was delightful to actually watch one of the best players in the league. And when he had a supporting cast worthy of his own talents, which really only happened one time in 2012-13, they won 54 games, which is still the most games they've won in over a quarter century. So he finished third in the MVP vote that year. He's one of the best players of all time. His coach, Jim Boeheim, told me today he's one of the best scorers that's ever lived. I don't think that's disputable. And forget what he did, in the NBA. I mean, his 1 year in college, he led Syracuse to their only national championship. And he was a key player on 3 Olympic teams. And, the guys that were his teammates on the Olympics teams always talk about what a great teammate Carmelo was. And it kind of shows you that he was a guy who actually craved playing with the best players. He played his best when when he had great teammates, and they always talk about what a great teammate he was. So obviously, it was no brainer for him to get in the Hall of Fame, and no brainer for him to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And look, he's got a complicated legacy with the Knicks just because there wasn't a lot of winning going on when he was here. I don't think that he deserves near as much blame for that as he's received. But look, I mean, he's going to go into Springfield with both feet, and he's going to join his coach Jim Boeheim there, and it's going to be a great day because he was a very good player, very accountable player, and a guy who never ducked an interview. And it's really, and also one last thing about him at a time, this has maybe changed a little bit in recent years, but at a time when it was almost impossible to lure, big time, big name, bold faced players to New York, he not only came here, he ran here. We've seen a little bit of that softening now with Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge. We decided to come back. Juan Soto coming to New York and staying in New York. Maybe it's a little different now, but at that time, we wondered if New York was ever going to have the drawing power that it used to have, and that it seems to have again. And Carmelo was the one who actually said, "I want to play there."
Let's go into more detail about his legacy at MSG. Are there any Melo Hall of Fame moments that you'll never forget? And do you feel as the way he exited his time with the Knicks, with that beef with Phil Jackson, do you think that put a stain on his legacy as a Knick?
Well, I mean, I'll put Phil Jackson's record as a GM up against Carmelo Anthony's as a player, 8 days a week. So, I mean, I don't think that. I think most right-thinking Knicks fans know who was more competent at their job when it comes to those two. So I'll let that one go with that. But look, I mean, I was there for the 60-point game when he was spectacular. I was there for almost all of the important moments of that 2012-2013 season. You know, we hear the MVP chants in the Garden now whenever Jalen Brunson plays, and they become kind of commonplace. We heard them a couple of years ago for Julius Randle. Those were really invented for Carmelo Anthony. They didn't cheer MVP when Willis Reed or Clyde Frazier were doing their thing, or even Patrick Ewing. But I mean, whenever Carmelo did anything that year, the chance of MVP would rain down from the ceiling, and it was worth it because he was so good that year. He finished third in the MVP voting in a loaded class, and he was terrific at a time. Look, I mean, he had a better cast than normal then, but let's be very honest. He didn't exactly have the kind of heat, the kind of supporting cast LeBron had with the Heat. I mean, probably his best teammate that year was Kenyon Martin, who was about 70 years old, and Jason Kidd, who was about 80 years old. I mean, it was, kidding aside, a better supporting cast than the other years he had with the Knicks. But it was still mostly Melo and that team feeding off of his greatness in that year, and it resulted in 54 wins.
I went to high school or grew up in Virginia. He went to Oak Hill Academy that last year, his senior year. it was a joy watching that man play. You know, so it was great to watch him since high school. Congratulations, Carmelo Anthony, making it to the Hall of Fame. And Mike, thanks for taking the time out of your day to hop on with us.
Anytime, Brandon. Great to talk to you.